That's funny. All right, hey, how are you guys?
We're great. The sun is out now. We started early
Just
today.
fixing my hair.
Karen was nice and started way earlier than we were going to because I have. How funny we're talking about.
It was a busy Saturday.
It is a busy Saturday as we're talking about extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
I have 3 basketball games today.
And I have a singing performance to practice for.
Yeah.
It's my own extracurricular.
Yeah. So let's get started. All right, welcome friends to episode number 42.
We're going to talk to you about extracurricular activities today. This is a common question with homeschooling.
Because I think some people think we have our kids locked up in the basement and they don't ever get out.
If you pull them out of school, they suddenly can't do anything else, right? But stay home all day. That's not the way it goes. So yeah, we just want to share some opportunities and options for extracurriculars when your kids are not in the regular school system.
Yeah.
Because there's still tons of options.
Actually, like too many options.
Too many.
Sometimes.
That was actually one of the things, like it can be to the point of overwhelm how many options there are. It's hard to choose, at least in our area.
Yes, and maybe because we live in an area with a lot of younger children.
A lot of young kids, a lot of homeschoolers too.
Yes.
And so there's just so many options around here.
Yeah,
which is wonderful, but you have to pick and choose and decide how much or how little you want to fill your life with. Right. Which is another blessing and benefit of homeschooling, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of 2 paths we want to go on today. Yeah. So it'll be a good one though. I think you guys are gonna like this. But one of the things I really love about homeschooling is just that opportunity to really let your kids follow their passions. Mm-hmm. So if you have a kid who, like, she has a son who's just delving into music really intensely and is really following his passion there. He plays the guitar and he's performing with bands, and he's able to do that because of this homeschooling path that she's chosen. And I have kids that are really into science, and so they can study science intensely or play piano all day long if they choose that. And there's just a lot of paths you can take, and that's kind of a beauty of it that I love.
Well, it is. It's great. So Porter is my son who plays guitar. He does not like when we don't say his name.
Hi, Porter.
But the beauty of it is that so he does college. And he can do his classes and how much he's supposed to do. And then he practices guitar for 2 or 3 hours a day. And I don't have to ask him. He just he has set that time aside. And then he can go to his band practice. And then he has the group he's in. If you aren't going to be able to be there, you have to have a sub so that your music is being covered. And so people can ask him because they know he has time to then learn their pieces. Yeah. And so it's just awesome that he's 16, almost 17 years old, right? And so I've been teaching him the skills of managing his time and doing all these things. And so he can do school. He's kicking butt in his college classes. He's doing awesome. And then still go hardcore with his passion with guitar.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
And have a job at the same time.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I know one of my worries when I started homeschooling is that my kids would miss out on a lot of those like traditional things like choir and band and all the stuff that you can only do in a school supposedly.
Yeah. It's like major homeschool mom FOMO.
FOMO, yep.
Fear of missing out. And I think all moms have it, but I think homeschool moms sometimes feel it a little bit deeper because there isn't the just given opportunities.
Yeah, you have to seek them out.
And intentionally think, what is going to serve my family? What does my kid want to do? Instead of just here's the buffet, you have to go and get it yourself.
Yeah, you have to seek it out. It's not just there at school given to you. But there are a ton of options. In the community, you can find a lot of options. There's community theater and choirs and sports leagues that you can put your kids in. In our area, and I don't know about everywhere else, but in our area, you can still, if you're homeschooling, put your kids into some of those extracurriculars at the schools.
Yes, my son did the jazz band. At the
you can put him in sports and different things like that if you choose to. And we have never done that, but it is an option.
It is, and it wasn't as hard. The one when he did it for 9th grade, that's junior high in Utah County, and they didn't even ask a question, and he just was showing up and just was contacting the teacher directly. But in high school, when he did that, they were like, "Wait a minute, you're not a student here." And he's like, "No, I'm homeschooled," and they still didn't worry about it. They were like, "Oh, okay." So I think you just work with the teacher directly and figure out what they need.
Yeah. And then there, the recreation centers around us have dance and gymnastics and sports and karate and, anything that you could really want as well. And so I
have found,
choices.
Other than tackle football, like I can find all of the things the school offers outside of school. Does that make sense? Like basketball, you have intense leagues that are different than just the city leagues.
Right.
So let's say you're like hardcore with something, and tackle football is the only one that I found that once you get to a certain age, it has to go through the school. And everything else, I have found that they have competitive leagues in soccer. Obviously bands, choirs, just baseball, all the sports, every dance.
Yeah.
Like all those things I found even better
outside of the schools.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So there really are tons of options still. You don't have to be at a school to get it, but you can still make the choice to do that.
Yeah. And my kid didn't do it this year. He said it was too much and he didn't feel like he really learned as much. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, so he didn't do it this year.
His band?
Well, he does his band, but he was doing 2 bands.
Oh, okay.
So he was doing his band plus the high school jazz band, and he didn't do the high school jazz band this year. I thought, I don't really care. Like,
yeah.
It's all on you.
All right, so your turn to take it away.
Okay, so this is funny. As we were preparing, we kind of talk of what subjects we want to do, and then we each kind of prepare our own notes, and then we come together. So Karen and I go.
We had pretty different views on this, which I actually loved because I think her viewpoint is amazing also.
So anyway, I think like we can get so caught up into this extracurricular activity. And like they're fun and they're exciting, and if your kid's excelling at something, it's really easy to be like, yes, more, I want more of this. But as I was researching it, and I'm really great at taking my kids right back out. Like if this is not serving our family, I'm done and I'm out. And I took my daughters out of choir in December.
I know, I was pretty impressed by that.
Yes, and the one's kind of sad about it, and I go, it's not serving our family. Like it's kind of pricey and it's all over the place, and they want at a drop of a hat for me to drive you somewhere that's 45 minutes away, an hour away, and then I have to sit there for a few hours and then drive back home. And I just thought, my life does not revolve around your extracurricular activity. Right. And so, like, no judgment if that's the choice you want to make. A couple problems with that for myself is that I think a kid starts to think that the world revolves around them. And when you're doing chores and you're doing like other skills like that at the house, it benefits the family.
Yeah.
But if you're just really good at music, it only benefits you. And so it's just learning to like, yes, I can have these fun hobbies and even something that may be my career and something that's amazing, but I don't want the world to revolve around my kid. I don't want my vacations to be where the tournament is.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like,
me neither.
Yeah, a couple of them, I think just one of my sisters, or maybe 2 of them, that they do that and they're okay with it. And so if
my
you're
sister's
okay with
that way too, because her kids are very into sports and they have a lot
Yes.
of traveling they need to do for that.
And I'm like, nope, it does not serve me. I do not want my vacation to be in the middle of no man's land because there's a baseball field out there. Like I want Puerto Rico with the beach and like the sun and just awesomeness. So that's kind of one of my rants, soapbox. But also, so this next, and I'm probably going to say his last name wrong because that's how I roll. Gordon Neufeld, is that how you say it?
I think that's right.
Neufeld.
Neufeld. You can find him. He's written books, but also you can find him on YouTube. He has some amazing TED Talks.
Really great talks.
They're so good. They're well worth finding and listening to. And
I'll
link those in our show notes. Yeah.
And so we're talking about that. There's a ton of studies about newborns and like toddlers that when you have a baby, they try to get the baby right onto mom's skin to get that contact. And if you breastfeed or even bottle feed, to have touch.
Yeah.
To like be touching as much as possible. And with toddlers, they have the study up to age 3 that toddlers need to be held and to be held and to be touched. And then they don't have any study after age 3. But the kids still need contact, they need attachment, they need the touch, they need this love. And so if you kind of think of it as a plant, or just like in the universe, there's attachment to everything. Molecules have to attach to one another. The sun is the center and the planets are attached to it. And so in a plant, it has to attach itself to the dirt. So a plant who has strong roots can have a big storm come through and it'll be fine and it will hold firm and hold still. But if it doesn't, it gets blown right over, it gets pulled out. So if your child is your plant, right, and their roots to you, and I think to God, really, would be
or
the
whatever
best.
It is, your family values and whatever
that they can then build those strong foundations first, before you go out and say, here you go, little seed, best of luck to you. Like, I hope you plant your roots somewhere good and firm and say, oh no, I'm going to be very intentional. My daughter teased me about this the other day. Someone asked me what's my favorite like food or treat, and I was like, well, I don't eat candy. And they're like, yeah, but if you wanted to eat something fun. And I was like, ooh. And my daughter even thought, I don't know. She goes, everything you do is very intentional. Like, if I'm going to eat this, there is a reason for it. There is an intent for it. I thought, oh, that's funny. So with my kids, like, there's a strong intention.
Makes me think of the parable in the New Testament about, the seeds that fell in the different ground.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
Look at you, scriptorian. I'm so proud of you. I'm not a scriptorian, so thank you. I wasn't mocking you.
I know.
Okay. So if they have this strong connection that they can be out in the world and somebody can offer them alcohol, and it's like, well, that's not part of my values, that's not part of my systems. Or somebody trying to be like super sexual with them, and they're just like, no, this isn't who I am, or pornography. So what's happened is we're about 3 generations in of children not having a strong connections with families, of grandparents now, and this is according to Gordon Neufeld, that grandparents now want to be with other grandparents instead of being with grandchildren.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of this mentoring that's happening in these strong connections, you have peers mentoring peers. And they actually have, so if you think about the vocabulary you have versus even my 2-year-old or our 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
Has he had his birthday?
No, it's in 2 weeks.
Okay, so our 8-year-olds. And their vocabulary is very different to ours. And think of the vocabulary to somebody even older than us. And if you spend time with somebody older than you and do these things with somebody older than you, it brightens your own mind. And now you have this group of peers raising peers, which is leading to some problems. So my rant then basically is extracurricular activities are great when you have those strong roots, those strong values.
I think that is a principle of Charlotte Mason as well, where, it's like the first few years of school are very like, teaching them the basic principles of like home and family life and learning and doing things, or TJ Ed. The TJ Ed more that I'm thinking of. But both of them kind of have those same concepts of like, the first few years, it's like teaching them the heart and the culturing,
well-educated heart's the same idea.
Where, first you want to teach them your values and let them know that this is the most important relationship, and the most important thing that they have is, your faith and your family, and whatever is most important to you, and getting that basis before sending them out to do all these other things.
Well, it's interesting because I have my 8-year-old would play with friends from sun up to sundown, and it feels easier to just say, go play with your buddies. But what happens when he starts going with them too much is that he's having other 8-year-olds teach him what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate, what's inappropriate. And so when he goes with them too often, he comes home and harasses the baby. And then it's like, you have to make a choice. Is it just easier to say, keep going with your friends because when you're home, you're causing problems? Or, which is going to give me bigger problems later, or dealing with the problem now and saying, hey, we're going to actually bring you in. We're going to bring you in and you're going to go with your friends. He can go with his friends 3 times a week. And we've just kind of limited it so that he can really learn values, to learn like how he behaves when he's with other people, how he behaves with his brother. And his friends aren't naughty. Yeah. Like they're not little stinkers throwing rocks at cars, or like they're just kids, but kids can't raise kids. And so like extracurricular activities are fantastic once you have that strong foundation.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point.
Yeah, so I let my kids do one activity.
Yeah, we pretty much do the same thing. Mine are all in piano. And then I have one in dance. Yeah. So, but it's like our next door neighbors. So she walks, so I don't feel like it's
well, we will talk about our co-op.
Yes.
It fills a lot of
these needs. We do a lot of those types of things that are extracurricular type classes at our co-op. We have theater and music and those types of things there.
And the kids there have the same values. And so to me, I'm okay with it because it's not like I have to like, okay, let's retrain how to do this. Let's go over this again. Yeah. So after my rant, here are some good things about extracurricular activities. So like I said, my son who's into music, I couldn't offer that for him. I couldn't help him go tour Europe. I couldn't go teach him,
give him a jazz band to perform with,
or theory. I'm like, he's so into theory, and I was like, oh, I don't know. So that it can teach kids things that I cannot, especially past the level where I could teach him. So allowing them to really excel, and that's where you're talking about their passions. And really being able to get into that. And honestly, sometimes it is nice to give mom a little bit of a break.
Definitely.
Just like, okay, this is your time where you go do.
If it is a break, if you're not having to be there the whole time or driving them hours away or whatever it may be. But yes.
So I just, I love the simple life. And whenever it gets too busy and too crazy, I pull it back in. And just
That's
like
what I do too.
Took my girls out of the choir. And it was only one time a week meeting, but it kept changing, and then like saying, okay, now scratch that. It's not on Tuesday anymore. It's on Saturday in a city that's an hour and a half away. And so I thought, this just isn't serving our family. No. So I like to ask that question, does it serve my family? And if it doesn't, it's out. And so, that's kind of like, I don't know, keep your babies home. It's okay to not have them in everything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Well, and I think a lot of people who've had their kids in sports, because you can do tackle football now from first grade, and they're burned out. And we even had some friends who've been pulling their kids out of their intense piano, their intense gymnastics, strings, instruments. So all these things that they've been really intense with, they realized it wasn't serving their family. And so, and they're like, you have your whole life. If you think, like, we lived to almost 80. And so if they just get a little taste.
And like me, you can just learn to play piano in your 40s.
Yes.
We talked about that in the last episode.
I'm learning to make a quilt. That's what
good for you. That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. So it's like learning doesn't have to just happen. All these extracurricular activities don't just have to happen when they're at home with you.
No.
Like you can just give them little tastes. Like here's something fun. We can do something fun as a family, or here's one thing that you can go do. But so I guess like this episode to me is saying like extracurricular activities, everything has a good and a bad, just like cell phones, right? Either you use it as a tool to get better, or it uses you, like you have to pick.
That's so true.
So that's kind of, do you have anything else to add?
Well, I just think often of friends and family members that I know that are so burnt out in their lives from just the constant go, go, go. And that's going to happen just with busy mom life. Like that's just kind of a normal. But when you can choose what you're putting your time into and when you can choose less, I think that that's always a better choice in general.
I know our church leaders have recommended for years of simplifying to not get the burnout, to not get...
I just do everything possible to simplify my life. My kids keep getting invited to participate in more things, debate and this community theater and all of these different things. And every time I evaluate it, is this worth it for us and our family in this time in our lives? And we're already so busy, and what will it take away? Because we'll have to give up something to be able to do this thing. Yes. And so you just have to really think that through. Is it worth it to be constantly in your car on the go with your toddler always strapped in the back seat for their nap? Or is it better to just simplify and be home and have less? And that's always my philosophy, but...
I don't know, just as something to think about, especially where we've been able to homeschool for so many years. I think these are some of the habits that we've been able to create to not have the complete burnout.
Yeah.
And you talked about in the other episode about you had a busy week of doctor's appointments and all this. And so adding just regular life on top of homeschooling, on top of extracurricular activities.
And then our church has, more
There's
activities there. There's just always a lot. And so when you keep it to the bare minimum that you can, I feel like that's always best.
Yeah, and it'll just help you not have the burnout, and like your kids can do these things when they're older too.
Yep. Anyway, we love you guys. Thanks for listening in again, and have a beautiful week.
All right, see you guys
later.